is the opinion of the bankers related to the sandbox. There is a video which is it's a banker's perspective video, which I will play for all of you, and wherein we will get to know about how exactly the fintech startups, the fintech organizations can take benefit out of that sandbox, and what exactly is a fintech sandbox. And initially it was initiated in UK, and then primarily it came on to the other countries. So what exactly are the fintech regulations in India? And we will also talk about drone technology, we will also talk about IoT, we will also talk about big data. So these are some of the business disruptions which we will be continuing from the previous session, and post which we will end the session by knowing about certain fintech regulations. We will also be talking about challenges of the fintech industry. What are the basic challenges that these disruptive technologies have brought into? So we will also look onto that. So let me start with continuing the business disruption. So today we will be talking about IoT, that is Internet of Things. I'm sure all of you would have heard about IoT, but the common idea to discuss and talk about IoT and what exactly IoT is, that it is able to recognize that there is an ability to recognize other devices in a computing concept, and it is one of the fast evolving technologies in the world. And it basically offers a lot of options for society, for businesses, and for consumers. It is used through the connectivity, of course, and there are many devices which are connected to it. It is being used to build smart infrastructures in a variety of industries, including power, automotive, safety and surveillance, remote health management, agriculture, smart homes, and smart cities. So IoT is one of the thing which is a very common business disruption these days, and a lot of organizations have been using IoTs, connecting their devices to IoTs for better technological advancement. Now, if I have to talk about certain Indian initiatives related to IoT, I mean, if you have to talk today that, what are the initiatives that our country has related to IoT? So the government of India has created a draft IoT policy, and it was done in 2015, and with the global motive to create and to also linked all the smart IoT based systems for the economy, to bring economy at a very good digital landscape, to have society and environment change according to the global needs of the nation. So that is where the government has created a draft of the IoT policy in 2015. And with that particular effort, what happened? So the government was able to create 100 smart cities across the nation, and it was started. This particular mission was started under this particular policy. The Digital India program was established with the goals of empowering Indian society through a lot of digital means and advancing with the IoT sector. So, smart housing, smart parking, smartphone detection, smart transportation, smart roads, and smart lighting, everything was included in these projects of smart cities, right? So, with this particular help of the policy, I mean, the mission towards having 100 smart cities across the nation was initiated. Then there was Future Skill Prime, that is the FSP. Was the motive of FSP here was that it launched the Future Skills Prime initiative in the conjunction with NASCOM. Now this is only this was a pilot project in a way that it wanted to upskill the IT professionals. It wanted to boost the IT industry in the nation, and that is how this program intended to build an ecosystem for reskilling and upskilling the trends and futuristic technologies that include IoT. So these are the Indian initiatives related to IoT and how IoT has been a business disruption in the world. So this is one technology. The second, of course, is that Andhra Pradesh has to. This is the latest I think I could fetch out, was that this particular state is now promoting itself to be the IoT hub for with the initiation of the first policy in 2015. Now, in the proposed project, Andhra Pradesh plans to turn out to be an IoT hub in 2020, and it created 50,000 jobs for the IoT sector. And then what happened after that was that this program was particularly aimed and positioned in Andhra Pradesh at the IoT hub, and to grab a market share of US dollars 1.5 billion by 2020. And I think they have definitely achieved that. So the Institute of the University of Texas and the Federation of Andhra Pradesh Chambers of Commerce and Industry, they had proposed one of its kind for IT incubation center in Tirupati. And this I'm for sure 100% sure about the fact that they have actually built out a good IoT space in Andhra Pradesh after this particular initiative. And then definitely it has proven to be an IoT hub, because it has created a lot many IT industries. It has upscaled, it has uprooted, it has created more opportunities, more employment for the people in Andhra Pradesh. The next, of course, is the tech giants back Digital India vision. And I think yeah, some of you who would have been working in IT sector, or maybe have got a chance to know about it. There was a Digital India campaign that was, it was partnered with the Indian government, and wherein there was a company called as Jupiter Networks. So they had, invested a lot of money, for example, rupees 6,700 crores for the Digital India drive. Now, according to the reports, this company is looking at the schemes such as digitalization and digital infrastructure for every citizen. So they are primarily, the tech giants that are working towards digital economy and digital India vision. So that is one particular organization. Then there is a legacy tech giant called as Intel. I'm sure you would be aware about Intel. They also announced a lot of projects to back the digital India vision. One of its project was primarily aimed at accelerating the digital literacy, which is Ek Kadam Unnati Ki Aur initiative. I think you would have also seen some advertisement related to this. And then there was another voice lending upon from Cisco, which in which there were a lot of investments towards, again, Andhra Pradesh. Cisco is setting up IoT Innovation Center in Vishakhapatnam to promote the regional innovation and to enable the partners to start up to build more solutions towards IoE, right? So this is where a lot of initiatives related to digital campaign, digital India vision were framed for the technological disruption related to IoTs. The next disruption now that we will be talking about is drone technology. We'll also watch a little video in understanding how drone technology is being taken up by the Indian farmers, how agricultural sector is getting a boost with the help of drone technologies. I will show you the video in the next slide. But before that, I think we all understand here that the drone technology is definitely used into the defense sector. Now, the deployment of drone system as a symmetrical weapon against terrorist assaulted is completely possible. It definitely will be used to transport a lot of vaccines in rural areas for healthcare delivery purposes. And this is according to a project recently approved by Telangana government and the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So drones can also be used to provide micronutrients in the agricultural sector. Like I've already told you that I'll show you a video. And drones are very important for law enforcement, fire and emergency service in some of the areas where human intervention is unsafe, so as well as healthcare services. So drone is again one of the disruptive technology which has taken over taken over a lot of space in our country, and a lot of initiatives have been taken through this particular technology. So let us see a video and let us see how drone technology is being used in agricultural sector. So I will come back to this slide post I show you the video. So I'll come back with the Indian initiatives later. I want to show you the video first. So let me show you this. India is looking to... Are you able to listen the audio? Can one of you confirm, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry. India is looking to bet big on the drone industry, from helping its farmers cut costs to strengthening the country's security and health infrastructure. The Indian government wants to transform the country into a global drone hub by 2030. Well, Arunday Mukherjee looks at how this is being put into action.
Farming in India is making way for new technology, hovering on the edge of a possible revolution. Ashok Kumar is using a drone to spray pesticide on his paddy fields in the southern Indian city of Kanchipuram. Ashok pays a little over $10 for the services of a drone pilot, and the drone does the work.
It's tough to find labor. Everyone wants a stable income and don't want to work on a farm. Even my kids are not keen. So I have to fall back on technology. With a drone, I can spray 1 acre of land in 15 minutes. It takes half the amount of pesticide and there's little wastage.
Instead of seeing laborers walking through fields, it may now increasingly become a common sight to spot drones flying across a farm instead. A sight unimaginable, especially in rural pockets like these a few years ago. Flying drones to aid farming is still at a nascent stage in India, but it is a start. For a country of India's size and diverse terrain, drones, experts feel, could be a flight in the right direction and play a major role in economic development. Government incentives worth millions of dollars have been offered to startups to encourage drone manufacturing and services. New Delhi predicts the industry to grow to nearly $4 billion in the next 3 years.
Today, we're using drones for ensuring that there are no pilferages in mines. And we also have a technology that can count the number of trees in a lot of forest departments. We've been using landmine detectors fit onto these drones to ensure and unearth any hidden landmines for the defense purposes.
But amidst this technological revolution, manufacturers still rely on many components imported from China, a factor that may hinder India's goals of becoming a drone hub by 2030.
Industry and academia can collaborate, and industry business to business collaboration can also be leveraged to identify what could be the possible alternatives to what we are sourcing from abroad, so that we can reduce our reliance on importing a lot of the drone components that we are as of now.
Ashok is one of the few in his village who has dared to experiment. He says he now wants to buy a drone to lease to other farmers. The seeds are being sown as India's push into drone technology also becomes one of the driving forces for development in the country. Arunodaya Mukherjee, BBC News, Kanchipuram, India.
Okay. So this is where I wanted to show you how drone technology is been used globally in not exactly globally, but as of now, it has started working into a lot of spaces in India. But India aims to become a global drone hub by 2030, and this is where a lot of startups, a lot of fintech organizations have started working on developing drone technology that can be used for a lot of agricultural sector. Right. So I come back to the slide here now.
India.
Okay, so there are certain Indian initiatives towards the drone technology which I want to discuss. So the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, State Panchayati Raj Department, State Revenue Departments, and Survey of India, they all have collaborated to create Swamitva scheme. So this particular scheme is basically, focusing on CORS, which is the continuously operating reference station, and drone technologies. Both of them are used in this plan, basically to map the land parcels of the rural communities. So what happens here is that the Ministry of Civil Aviation, they have published a draft drone rules in 2021, which are based out of trust, self certification, and non-intrusive monitoring. Hara Bhara effort is also again one of the global effort, basically to hasten the reforestation process by deploying a lot of drones to to basically to plant 1 billion trees in India by 2030. And these drones are being used in the project to scatter all the seed balls over thin, bare, and empty forest lands, and in an effort to transform them into the lush green tree habitats. PLI also for the drone industry. So this includes a lot of coverage and a wide range of drone parts such as the airframe, propulsion systems, power systems, batteries, the measurement units, flight control module, ground control station, communication system, cameras, trackers, everything to be installed for the drone technology to have a great success in India. So definitely, this is again one
India.
of the business disruption. Apart from that, now we are going to be jumping into the challenges regarding these disruptive technologies that we've spoken about: blockchain, we've spoken about IoT, we've talked about 5G technology, we've spoken about drone technology. So, what are the challenges that are upcoming with these disruptive technologies? The first challenge is an ongoing challenge, that is that a lot of developing nations like India, they are facing very limited capital, very limited human capital, and there are weak institutions, there are going to be tough business climates. So this is one particular challenge which is quite common, and a lot of businesses are facing this kind of a challenge, which is, I think, ongoing. Then there is definitely a point related to the trust and ethical issues. So disruptive technology, no doubt, it is not a problem in the country, but definitely ethical considerations are very, very important. They have to be linked with privacy, they have to be linked with the ownership, and there have to be transparency among these particular technological barriers. Now untested, and they are sometimes time consuming as well. So new technology definitely is considered to be typically very untested, and there are unrefined norms, there are unrefined values attached to it. So during its very early stages and during its very early development stages, it can take time to prove to be asset, or time to prove to be it takes a lot of time to prove to be a profit for a lot of organizations. So new technology has its own different kind of barriers. Then there is redundancy of the prevalent old technology. Definitely a lot of people have agreed that there are many ideas, many businesses models that have the tendency to disrupt the existing and the established ideas, prototypes, products, services, businesses. This also creates a very fierce competition in the market. I mean, if you are trying to innovate something, that is fine, but if you are creating something altogether very different and bringing something as a new disruptive technology, it also give opportunity for the competition to enter into the market, so it creates better opportunities for your competitors as well. Then definitely there are changes in the adaptability. I mean, definitely the disruptive technology, they take a lot of time to prove that in the complex markets they can have a very good significance, they can create more opportunities, but it is also consumed in a lot of in a way that it is also penetrating the market, it is consumed in a way. So which means it also creates certain barriers towards new adoptions, or towards acquisition of the consumers, right? So in this case, there are certain challenges that are quite common related to the disruptive technology. Now, as we all are aware about the fintech, now the creators are the people who are trying to create something new. But then, I have these three slides with three different pictures, which are showing that even if you have to buy a rubber band, or if you have to buy, anything from the market today, with the help of fintech, with the help of financial technology, with the help of Paytm, Google Pay, everything, it is very easy for us to go and buy, even with the cashless economy. So if you see this picture, I mean, even in somebody who has to travel in an auto, somebody who has to buy from something related to eating products, somebody who is shopping, somebody who is in a supermarket, it has become it is very convenient, it is very easy for us to go and buy something with the help of these applications. Then of course, you can see a vendor who's selling eggs, who's making tea. Then there are people who are giving paying through the cards in the super malls. Even if you are in an international store, there are credit cards which are working, there are e-cards which are working. So if you're buying anything, you're doing shopping, you are trying to do any transaction, it is very easy for us these days through the advancement of the fintech technology. Now let's come to little statistics of where exactly is the fintech industry growing. What is the growth that has been seen in the fintech market? So Asia is definitely driving the growth of fintech market, and the key players that we've been continuously talking about are Visa, Ant Financial in China, Mastercard in US, Tencent in China, Intuit in US, Stripe is Ireland, PayPal is US, FinServe is US. All these are the key partners or the key players in the fintech market. But let's come to the first figure. So it has been assumed by 2028 that the fintech industry is projected to grow over 514 billion US dollars at a compound annual growth rate of 25%, right? So if we start from 2021, the the figure lands up to be around $100 billion, but then it has rapidly been increasing by the time we have crossed 2024, and it is projected it is definitely going to have a huge um, increase in the future by 2027 as well, and by 2028 there is going to be a better projected growth which can be seen in the fintech market. Now if I have to compare it with the region, or if I have to break down in the region, come to the right hand side. So this is the chart which is showing the regions as Americas, EMEA region, and then Asia Pacific. So if we have to talk about Asia Pacific, then it has considered to be having an increasing volume, shown an increasing volume, and then as compared to Asia Pacific, it was quite heavy and quite high in 2020, and then there has been a very high increase in 2021, but it has gone a little down in 2023. And if we see Americas, it has always been increasing at a very increasing rate, so which means the projection or the new fintech startups in America in 2018 were around 555, I think 5500, and then it have been increasing, and the range have been increased till 11,000, 12,000 by 2023. So definitely there are certain areas, certain regions which are doing extremely very well in the fintech industry, and there is Asia is also driving, looking at for growth in the fintech market with the projected figures. Now, why banks need fintech and vice versa? Like, why is there a requirement for the banks to need fintech? We'll also see a quick video to understand why exactly is there a need, and why a lot of people, a lot of banks these days require the fintech application. So definitely, why banks need fintech is because there is an access to idea. Definitely, there is access to the new technology. There is access to the agility. There is a speed to the market today. If I have to just go ahead and do any transaction through a banking app, take any service from a banking app, it is very easy for me, right? So it is the access to the expertise around the data, exposure to different cultures, and of course why fintech needs bank is because there is the access to the customers, there is a trust which is involved here, there is access to clearing formats from the central bank settlement, there is access to in-depth payments expertise, there is access to data, avoidance of any kind of a regulation. So clearly not at all the banks will survive, but definitely the survivors will be those that reimagine relationship with their customers and partners. And I think fintech has played a very very important role in the banking system. So we will also go ahead and we will be discussing about BaaS and BAP, so banking as a service, banking as a platform, why exactly there is a need for fintech industry in detail. We will cover that in our upcoming lectures, but the crux of this particular slide is that fintech is dependent upon banking sector, and banking sector is definitely dependent upon fintech, right? And why is there a need? What is the banker's perspective? So I'll show you the video for that. So let us see whether fintech opportunity or is it a challenge for the banks.
So digitization is the name of the game, and it does not matter what industry we are talking about: education tech, ed tech, food tech, health tech, clean tech, consumer tech, and of course there is fintech. I'm going to focus on fintech or financial technology today. It's a vast topic. A lot is happening and very fast. We won't have the time to cover everything, maybe scratch the surface. Having said that, let's get straight in. Now, there are 5 broad areas when you look at what fintech companies do. These are very distinct. There is payments, there is insurance, wealth, lending, and what are called neobanks. Just a broad overview first. India has one of the largest fintech markets in the world after US, China, and the UK. In the early days, most companies here in India, fintech companies, were focused on payments, which is no longer the case. Fintech companies are now present across segments and products. They are introducing completely new products and popularizing them as well across market segments. They've also reached the unserved and the underserved segments of the market. A case in point is, business loans, very small ticket size. I mean, up to 5-10 lakh rupee business loans, which large banks don't really want to do. Now, there have been three key enablers for the rapid growth of fintechs. One, of course, is the UPI. I mean, that's been essentially the backbone on which a great many of these businesses have been built. There has been great access to capital and funding, no dearth of that. And of course, partnerships with the broader set of ecosystem partners, including incumbent banks and other financial services organization. Let me give you a flavor of what these platforms are up to. And what I'm going to present here is basically things which have happened only over the last 2 weeks or so, last fortnight. Google will now allow its users to book fixed deposits through Google Pay. While in the initial rollout, FDs of Equitas Small Finance Bank will be offered, the plan could be much bigger. Google Pay has 150 million plus users and approximately 40% of the UPI market share. Next is HDFC Bank and Paytm, their tie-up. This relationship basically kicks off with a payment gateway and a co-branded soft POS solution. Remember, Paytm has 33 million users and 21 million merchants. HDFC Bank has 2 million merchants and a 48% share of merchant volumes. HDFC Bank basically gets to aggressively expand merchant acquisition big time. Next is Facebook, which is tied up with an entity called Indify. Indify, by the way, itself is a platform which provides access to other lenders to lend. What is on the plate here is SME loans size between 5 lakhs to 50 lakh rupees, and they're going to offer it across 200 cities. Remember, Facebook has over 15 million business users on WhatsApp. And of course, I'm not looking at the other platforms that they own. And last, we come to Cred, which recently, not very far back, revealed details of its lending business, Cred Cash. And it also announced the launch of Cred Mint, which is a peer-to-peer lending product which enables members, according to them, to earn interest as high as 9% or so. No comparison to what traditional sort of fixed deposit type products are offering in the market right now. Now, the question is this: what are banks and legacy financial institutions doing? Well, they are very aware of the challenges. What have they done though? Many things. This graphic here tells us how incumbent players are dealing with the fintech challenge and what are they doing? They're incubating them, which is basically, creating entities within their own umbrella. They're investing in them, buying them outright. We've seen many transactions. They're creating new products with them. And of course, they're distributing together along with fintechs as well. They're going the whole 9 yards in that sense, the legacy financial institutions, including banks. So the point is, the issue is not lack of preparedness. Incumbent banks and financial institutions are large, they have scale, they're hugely profitable, and they will be able to offer easy, convenient, and seamless banking. The main issue is likely to be this: how do they maintain their market share of profitability when challengers can offer almost similar products at dramatically lower cost to the customers?
Okay. So this is what we've been discussing about in the previous slide when I was mentioning about the challenge. That is the major challenge in the fintech industry. I'll go back to the slide and I'll again quote this point, is that the challenge is for the adaptability. When it comes to adaptability, again, there are many competitors. There are many there are many players in the market. So even if you bring up new ideas, even if you bring out new business models, see, they definitely have the tendency to disrupt. They are going to be increasing the existing and established models. They are going to be increasing the existing services. They are going to be increasing the volume for the business transactions. But this will also create very fierce competition. This will also create very big competition, because what if the other person is giving the same technological disruption at a very low rate? So again, it is a positive point to have, it's I think the positives or the pros are much higher in terms of disruptive technology, but there's also a drawback, or there's also a negative point here, which is related to competition, and it's very easy for somebody else to enter into the market here. So the entry of players is going to be very, very easy, though there are a lot of challenges again with disruptive technologies, right? So let us go ahead and let us understand the need for the fintech regulation now. This is the second segment that we will be touching upon today. So basically, there is a regulatory sandbox, and it is a regulatory approach. This is typically summarized in writing, and it is published, and it allows the live time-bound testing of innovations under a regulatory oversight. Now, RBI has also initiated its fintech sandbox, and there have been set of people commenting on that particular sandbox, how it is going to be beneficial, what are going to be the set of rules, how supervision requirements are going to be there, what is going to be the appropriate safeguard, why would a fintech organization need a sandbox come, there's a question related to it. So the answer here is that this sandbox, it creates a very conducive, contained space where a lot of incumbents or the challengers experiment the innovations, and they are even going outside this particular space for their regulatory frameworks. Right now, this regulatory sandbox, it brings the cost of innovation down, it reduces the barriers to entry, it will allow the regulators to collect a lot of important insights before deciding if further the regulatory action can be taken or not. So a successful test may result into several outcomes, including all the full-fledged or tailored authorization. But the first regulatory sandbox that was introduced, or it was launched, it was in 2015 in UK, and they generated great interest from the regulators and the innovators around the world, because it creates a space for both the parties. So the innovators are also there, the regulators are also there, and it becomes very easy for the regulators to typically understand the innovation, and typically understand how exactly these startups are going to work on. So at the beginning of 2018, there were more than 20 jurisdictions that were actively implementing and exploring this particular concept. Now, fintech regulation is very, very important, number one. And in that fintech regulation, there is a regulatory sandbox that has been also initiated by the Indian government, by RBI in India. Now, what exactly is this RBI sandbox? And there is the banker's perspective. Like I told you, I'm going to show you this video, because this is where this is the personal voice of a person who will, from a banker's perspective, tell us what exactly is this RBI sandbox and how fintech companies and fintech startups will be using this. Right. So I'm going to play this for you guys now.
I think open banking is the tomorrow's banking. Rather, it's really becoming a practice for current banking. And the sandbox is a kind of a simulation which will help banks and fintech to collaborate furthermore in a faster manner. Typically, banks, it takes 15 to 20 days to onboard any of the fintech, giving the access for a particular API, secure access rather. Through Sandbox, it's always 24/7 available for the fintech to come on board on that platform and verify their ideas and their prototypes with the Sandbox APIs. And I think that will give a leverage for a fintech to faster to go to market strategy and reduce on the lot of overheads and the cost. So I think for any bank and organization who want to really practice with the fintechs, I think Sandbox is a must as of now. And the regulatory sandbox, which will be like a country level sandbox. I think India has recently released a guideline for regulatory sandbox, and sooner or later we'll certainly find we'll have a very good sandbox environment, and we'll see a lot of efficient fintechs will be utilizing sandboxes for verifying their ideas, creating the prototypes or MVPs in a faster manner. I think it has come on the right time. Fintech is really boom in India, and we need to support fintech in India in year 2019, so that we'll have more and more quality fintech companies who will support the Indian banking ecosystem, financial inclusion, various other financial agenda for India. To have a successful fintech, we need faster success for their ideas and their products. and having a regulatory sandbox into the picture for banks and insure and BFSI industry, that will really reduce down the time for these fintechs and banks to succeed faster manner. So today, without regulatory sandbox, we struggle a lot. Fintechs are struggling for to go to every bank, and every bank, they cannot really spend practically 15-20 days to get an API and to validate their products. Through regulatory sandbox, it will be always 24/7 availability, and this guideline is really helpful to really build how a sandbox it should be. We have seen regulatory sandbox success in a country like Singapore, Hong Kong, UK, and certainly India will not be left behind. And certainly we'll see with the rise of IoTs, wearables, and connected platforms in near future, and with the rise of 5G connectivity and rise of mobile devices, we'll see mobile economy will go high, and you will find IoT devices will be performing financial transactions on behalf of human beings, provided how they are being configured. To do that, we need to have a very robust backend architecture, which will be provided by this open banking architecture. So that's a tomorrow's banking, and that's what I say. Always say it's a complete digital storm which we'll be waiting for. With the rise of IoTs, you will certainly see rise of financial transaction to these connected devices. So tomorrow's banking will be invisible banking. So transactions happening without man in middle, and to do that, we need to have open banking architecture available in each of the bank. Sandbox is the first step wherein fintechs will come and test out their products and the payment platforms and so on. And open banking is the actual production environment will be provided by the banks to do the invisible banking. I think 10-12 banks has started implementing or already implemented the API banking, open banking environment. And few banks has, through collaboration with fintech, they have already started opening up their APIs and ecosystems. So I think the way we had mobile banking as a traditional banking, or SMS banking, or internet banking, which is a must for all banks, in next 2-3 years, everybody will be on API banking. So I will always see half of the banks in India certainly will be on open banking architecture in next 3 to 4 years. I think challenge it's a discipline with a sandbox or open banking or fintechs are going hand in hand. The security will be the one of the most important aspect for the organizations. We do handle a security of applications or mobile applications or systems in a different way. But here you're opening your complete banking through the APIs to that fintech and through the end user. So I think security, one of the rather challenge, I would say one of the area to be taken care properly. And that will be the one area. Apart from that, onboarding of a fintech and adaptability of a fintech to run a business for years together. So creation of right policies for an organization to onboard a fintech will be another area to look at. Through open banking, we are coming up with a different structure. So today we operate our systems into managed data center. Tomorrow it could be on a cloud. So security will be always there for any systems. It was always there, and it will be always there. The type of securities will change and the type of threats will change. And certainly there are a lot of best practices, frameworks, tokenization or encrypting end-to-end financial requests, which is coming from the fintech to this open banking and ultimately reaching to the core banking. The complete environment will be done securely, regular rechecks of the secure environment will be done by the organizations. So I think it's a regular security which will be implemented in the open banking also. I think it's a high time for banks to build sandbox or open banking architecture. If any bank wants to be there in the future, along with other existing channels like ATM, POS, or mobile internet banking, I think open banking is the next level channel which will be utilized by customers ultimately through the various lucrative offers they see around them. And bank, if they want to really reach out to the customer 24/7, they have to open up their services through form of the APIs. and they have to partner or collaborate with the fintechs. So that's the mantra of a success in year 2019.
Okay. So like we've understood that why exactly, the banking sector would require the sandbox is because it's basically an interface towards open banking. It's an interface. We will be discussing about open banking in the next lecture, and how exactly these application based interfaces are going to be helpful for the banks. They are going to be creating more opportunities for the bank to better connect with their customers. That is where the RBI sandbox, or that is where the sandbox regulation comes into the picture in fintech industry. Definitely, there are regulatory landscapes for consumer-facing fintech activities in India for sure. So, insurance web aggregators are looked by IRDAI. Payment services providers are handled by RBI. Providers of robo advisory are being taken care by SEBI. P2P lending platform by RBI. Alternative lenders again looked upon by RBI. Mutual funds direct plan aggregators are looked upon by SEBI. Cryptocurrency based service providers are looked upon by RBI. Crowdfunding by SEBI. Insurtech providers by IRDAI. Alternative credit risk modelers, personal finance management apps, credit product comparators, hybrid platforms, credit enablers. They are basically unregulated market that has to be regulated, and that is where the regulation has to come into the picture. Now, identifying the types of consumer facing fintech activities in India. So, definitely, we've covered a lot of data related to how exactly the disruptive technology has come across or has advent or has improved with the help of technology. But there is definitely the recognition of financial products or any business model that has to be with the help of a certain typology, which means that this actually means that there should be certain parameters for financial services. And then there are five innovations which are quite very common, five fintech innovations that are quite very common, which is online marketplace lending, that is also called as P2P lending, equity crowdfunding, robo advice, distributed ledger technology, and machine learning. And there are two categories towards it, which is through or cover the financial services, where the fourth and fifth covers the technology, right? So this is where the world needs to identify the consumer facing activities that are happening and how exactly they has to be incorporated with certain parameters. The typology for consumer facing activities, I think this we are doing since our slide one, which I am telling you again and again that there are certain fintech providers, like in insurance we have insurance web aggregators such as Policy Bazaar, Easy Policy. Insurtech providers, we have Bajaj Alliance, Videocon, Liberty. Payments, clearing and settlement, we have payment service providers like Razorpay. Deposits, lending and raising capital. P2P lending platforms, we have Lendbox and Faircent. Alternative lenders, we have Lending Cart. Alternative credit risk modelers, we have Algo 360. Credit enablers, we have Credit Mandi. Credit products and comparators, we have Bank Bazaar, Paisa Bazaar. Crowdfunding, we have Let's Venture, One Growth, Mila. In investment side, we have providers of robo advisory like Oro Wealth and Funds India. Mutual funds direct plan aggregator, we have Bharosa Club, Zerodha Coin. Personal finance management apps like Walnut. Hybrid platforms like Paisa Bazaar. And miscellaneous certain related to cryptocurrency, Unicorn, Coin, Mama, among others. Popular cryptocurrency wallets like Zeppay and Bayou Coin. So these are the typology for the consumer facing activities. And a lot of people are actually going ahead and using these applications. This is a discussion article related to the fintech laws and regulation, which you can go and you can look onto this article whenever you guys are free and whenever you guys would want to explore a little more related to the fintech laws and regulations. You can definitely go ahead and look into this particular article. And last but not the least, I would just like to say that whatever disruptive technologies we have discussed, I would also like you all to please explore them, to go ahead, search about them, look upon them. And then if you want to talk about anything, you can just let me know in the next lecture. We will have a discussion around it in case anyone of you would like to talk about it. And that is it for today. And we have covered related to disruptive technology. We have covered the fintech applications. the regulation related to these fintech technologies, and we will be covering a little more related to open banking, related to banking as a platform, banking as a service, which is also called as BAS and BAP in the upcoming lecture. Okay, so thank you very much for being with me, to keep a lot of patience, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Would that be okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.